Sometimes we have callers, sometimes we have folks who send us a video submission, and that's what we're going to go to now.
Ryan Kahn. So I'm in accounting and consulting, kind of tax strategy, planning, and advisory. We have 17 team members right now. Top line, one company's 3 million, the other's about 5.5, so usually between 7.5, 8.5. How do I inspire other business owners to get the cup overflows model truly wrapped around their head and create a network around those same like-minded individuals?
What a wonderful question. What a great idea. Because you're coaching on tax strategy and planning other businesses, and you can introduce this to them. The cup overflow model that he's talking about is referring to the Havdalah service that Orthodox Jewish folks do on Saturday evening. I found it from my friend Rabbi Daniel Lapin in his book, Thou Shalt Prosper, which I highly recommend and wrote the foreword to, by the way. So the Havdalah model is that on Saturday evening, a Jewish family will gather, and they have a cup sitting, a wine chalice sitting in a saucer, and they pour wine into the cup until it overflows into the saucer, symbolizing that during the work week ahead, you are to first fill your own cup, take care of your own family, and then have overflow to be used for generosity for the good of others. And that's what he's talking about. How do I encourage businesses to have a small enough lifestyle at home with the money that's coming into the business to where there is some overflow for generosity? Because no matter what you make, you can expand the size of your lifestyle, your cup, and there'll never be any overflow. If you keep growing the size of the cup, it just keeps eating all the wine. There's never any overflow. So you have to limit the size of the cup to be less than your income so that there's overflow for the good of others. The only principle is not how much you spend on yourself. The only principle is that you spend less on yourself than is coming in, so that there's overflow to be used for the good of others. That generosity principle causes people to prosper because it creates self-discipline, it creates frugality, and it creates an eye on others, not just an eye on self, selfishness versus selflessness. And so we're become more selfless when we're more generous, and it is a muscle that you build over time by doing it. Now, when you are a startup business and you're making 2 nickels, you're probably not going to have any overflow. The first year we opened this, the year before we opened it, I was doing real estate after having gone broke in real estate, but I still got back up to in the late 1980s, early 1990s, I was making $120,000 a year. The first year we opened Ramsey and started teaching Financial Peace University and speaking and selling a little self-published book out of the trunk of my car and doing a radio show that I lost money on every month, but was my lead magnet. The first year we did that, my income went from 120 to 60. And actually, it's what we projected. We projected we would make 60, but we made the decision that God's call was on our life to teach this material on what the Bible says about leadership, what the Bible says about handling money to other people, because it had saved our lives. And we were willing to take a pay cut, plus we were willing to take a pay cut because we thought it was temporary. We thought we'd make a lot more because there's so many people need help with money and leadership. And turns out we were right about that, because we've made a bazillion more dollars since then, over 35 years ago. That was. So we took a step back. Now, the year we took a step back was our generosity. When our income went in half of what it was the year before, was our generosity through the roof? No. We tithed because we're evangelical Christians, and that's all we did. We gave 1/10 of our income. There was no additional overflow for the good of others other than our tithe to our local church. But we did do that. So there's a baseline there of what we did as a part of our faith walk. That's what our calling is. So we did that. But The idea being, to answer your question, Ryan, is to teach businesses as they make more, don't just spend more. Spend more and give more. Spend more and give more. Spend more and give more. And let that overflow. Always keep your business and personal lifestyle combined to be the total of which to be less than the gross revenues, so that there's overflow to be used for generosity for the good of others. If you do that, it's a really good practice, because it doesn't matter what you can make, you can spend it. You guys all know that. I mean, the year I went from 60 to $1 million income, you can spend $1 million as easy as you can spend 60. And it doesn't take long, believe me, because they take half of it in taxes before you start, by the way. But anyway, that's what you're facing. So you've got to develop this natural rhythm of discipline of, no matter what I make, I live on less than that. My business overhead and my personal overhead in total is less than my total income, my revenues, so that there is money left over to be used for the good of others. That's the Havdalah principle from the Orthodox Jewish community. Probably other parts of the Jewish community as well, but that's the Havdalah principle anyway, as I learned it from the Rabbi. This is the EntreLeadership Podcast.